Good morning, everyone. We're going to start at 11. I see Ria is up and ready to go. Please make sure you have your mics and your videos turned off. If you have any questions, because we're going to try to record this and have it available as a resource on the Teams site, please put your questions in the chat box. Either put the question or a question mark, and then we won't be interrupting Ria. Also, we will take care of the recording, so I know you want a recording. We'll make sure that you have one, but let us do that so that it's not getting confused with adding more time and so forth. I'm hoping everybody can hear me and can see the screen. We're excited about this telepracticing that will take place every Friday at 11. And Ria, of course, has been so helpful in getting us started on telepractice, and we are so grateful for all the support she's provided. So with that being said, I'm going to mute my mic and we'll let Ria get started. Thank you, Ria.
Good morning. It's me again. Welcome everyone to our regular Friday session. I want you to know that you're not going to have to listen to me the whole time today. I've called in some friends and colleagues to share some of their telepractice expertise and help in sharing the resources today. We're going to move through things, kind of quickly. You guys will have access to the PowerPoint presentation and the recorded sessions afterwards, but we want to make sure we get through all the content. And if we do happen to go over after the recorded session, I know we'll be glad to stick around past 11:30 to answer any questions that you might have. I know it's always Leanne's promise that you dismiss on time, but Leanne's free to leave. I'll gladly stay. Okay, so I'm sure everybody can see my PowerPoint presentation. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a set format for our Friday sessions. We're going to share kind of a tech tip of the week, a telepractice tip, and then we're going to demonstrate several resources for the week. So let's go ahead and get into those. So this week, our telepractice tip of the week is going to be sharing websites and apps. So you can share materials. I'm going to talk kind of specifically about Teams, Microsoft Teams and Zoom, because they're fairly similar in the way that you can share, and those seem to be the two most common platforms everyone's using. So both Teams and Zoom allow sharing during your session. You can adjust the settings if you do not want, to share. And if you want to share an app, one of the biggest things you need to be aware of is the student is not able to access it remotely. So if you're using an app that when you're sitting beside the student, you're normally letting them touch and select, they will not have that ability on the far side. So you have to think about that in how you're going to have the student indicate a selection or indicate which tile or which choice you want them to make. You can give some remote access, so you can have students annotate the screen. I know you can do this in Zoom. We're going to work on getting some resources for this in Teams as well. But I want to show you, I have some examples here just to show you when you, both Teams and Zoom kind of have a center bar at the bottom. It's kind of like your control bar at the bottom center of your screen. And right in the center of that toolbar on both platforms, there's a share button, and it has usually a little screen with an arrow. In Zoom, when you pull up that share button, it brings up options. Now I use this as a screenshot of my laptop this morning. So like you can see, I can share different, what I have up on my desktop. I have 3 screens in my office, so I can share any of my 3 screens. That's why you see so many there. You can do a whiteboard, or I wanted to show you here. This is where you would share an app from an iPad or smartphone. You can plug those in directly to your device, or if you already run an Apple device, you can actually AirPlay a app onto your screen. So that's why my device is a MacBook Pro, so you can see it gives me the option to AirPlay there. For Teams, it's very similar. You can see, you can share your desktop, anything you have, up there. I actually don't have an iPad in my office right now. They're all loaned out to all of our therapists. I imagine if you have one plugged in, it would show up here, but I'm going to verify that for you all. But what I want to show you in terms of annotating the screen today, I know all of you are kind of dying to see Telepractice live. So what Sally and I did yesterday, Sally is our lead SLP for the for integrated. And what I did is I actually brought my own daughter in here and we recorded a sample telespeech session. So you guys could see how this goes. And we wanted it to be really simple so you guys could see that it doesn't have to be anything complicated. It doesn't have to be anything real crazy. So I'm going to share a few minutes of this with you so you can see this live, and then we'll post this video in Teams. So if you want to watch the whole session, you can do that.
My iPad with you today because I have a fun game on here that I thought we could do to work on your S.
Well, I have a fire pad.
You do? That's what my little boy has too.
It's pink, though.
His is green. What do you like to do on that?
I like to play games.
Okay.
I have a lot of games. I do the painting nails.
Oh, fun. That sounds fun. What else?
And a Barbie game.
A Barbie game. Do you have Barbies at home?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to love to play with
I have two Barbie games.
Nice. All right, so today, since you like games, that's going to be really fun for you because we are going to do a matching game. Okay? So let me go down here and find my S. And let's start with S at the beginning of the word. What sound is that S makes? Oh, and that's perfect, Eiley. Good job. So we're going to start right here. Now, I have to put numbers on here so that you can tell me which one to turn over, okay? So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 cards, and we're going to try to find a match. I'm going to let you go first and tell me which two cards you want me to turn over.
3 and 4.
3 and 4. All right, here we go. So we've got sun and sofa. So I want you to say sun for me 5 times. You ready?
Sun. 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 Sun.
That was good. You did it at a good pace because you looked at my fingers when they went up. Okay, so that was good and nice. Not too slow, not too fast. That was.
All right. So we're going to post this video is actually a full session. And I'll post this, or I'll have Leanne post this on the team site so you guys can see this. If you want to watch the whole session, you're welcome to do that. But I wanted you to see that. I wanted you to be able to see the her annotating that screen. So I wanted you to be able to see how she put the numbers on that screen, and for a way for Eiley to make that selection so she knew which tiles she wanted to pick. Okay, so like I said, that video will be posted if you want to check it out later, and no privacy rules have been broken. That's actually my kindergarten daughter, so you can feel free to to watch that. So now I want to turn it over. I've selected 3 of our telespeech therapists who are going to share some resources with you. The first is Sally Woodard. She's actually our lead speech language pathologist. So she kind of keeps us all in line, and she makes sure we're all using appropriate resources and maintaining the protocol in telepractice that we want to. and she is our resident articulation expert. So she is really, really good at getting kids to mastery with articulation goals, and she's going to share our articulation activity today. Sally, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Ria. It's great to be here with everyone today. I'm excited to share this with you. We're going to touch on articulation every week. So don't feel like this, what I go over today is all that you're going to get to hear, because as we know, we have a lot of various phonological and articulation disorders with students. And so we want to touch on the variety of resources that we have that we can share with you guys. Today, I wanted to show you kind of my first two go-tos that I tend to use pretty much with all of my students when I first start with them, or when we're first starting a new sound. And so many of you might be familiar with the Speech Tutor app. I really like this app for kind of just creating awareness for the child of where, where their articulators go and how they produce the sound. It gives them a visual. And the way that we can use this in our platforms virtually is we specifically use Zoom. And in Zoom, when you annotate, you hover over the top of your Zoom window, and then a little bar will come down and it'll have annotate as a choice. And when I do that, I can actually pull up this app. Once I'm sharing, that's when the annotate bar will come down. I have the person's face on the screen, and I can actually use like a little laser pointer. I can use a mouse. They'll let you, what's the word I'm looking for? Expand the size of your mouse arrows so the child really takes notice of it. And then I can point to those different articulators. Hey, what's this? What do you think this is? Oh, it's the tongue. Yes. And what is that tongue doing while you're making your or whatever sound you happen to be working on? So it's really, you all know how to do this. It's just we're showing you some ways to do it virtually when you're not right there and you can't show them. You can show them in your own mouth, but when you're not right in front of them, it can sometimes be a little challenging. So they can't see your finger pointing to things. So you can use that mouse and use that laser pointer. You can also draw a circle around things. And so it really, really gives us a lot of options. So I feel like that's a really great one to start with as reminders when we're working on our articulation sounds. So let's go to the next one there. This is the other suggestion that I have, and this is a worksheet, a site that has lots of worksheets that we use, heatherspeechtherapy.com, and these are free. She's giving these away for folks to use. So feel free to check out that website. It's a really great resource. And what I'll do a lot of times is once I'm sharing and it gives me that option to annotate, I will put maybe 3 X's by, or not X's, 3 check marks by parrot. And then I might stick an X there if they don't make it correctly. And that's a great visual for them to see, oh, I need to try to fix that sound. And so sometimes I'll let them pick, do you want a star or a heart for all your good productions? And kids, it's amazing to me how, just doing that will keep them engaged. Now, I did mention this in one of the previous slides, Ria, that depending on what type of platform, what kind of device your student is using, they might be able to annotate. And we actually have a document that shows how to annotate that we can provide if you want to teach a parent. If you've got a real tech savvy parent that might be able to just walk through that with you, they can annotate, and you can have the child put the X's or the stars to kind of see if they're discriminating correctly, that they're producing it correctly or incorrectly. So those are a couple of other options. We're keeping this short and sweet right now, so I've just got one more to show you, and that was the one that we demoed. I like Artic Picks, Articulation Station. I use just as frequently. I just brought this one up for this demo. And as you can see, on the video, I drew the numbers, but you can also select a text box and just real quickly type the numbers in. And so I did that on this sample for you. So either way, it only takes a very, less than a minute to get those numbers on there. And that way, even though they can't touch it, they can tell you what you want, what picture they want you to pick. And that goes for any interaction with apps. You could put a number beside something if you want to know what they can select if they're not able to actually annotate to circle or point. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying not to talk too much. We're wanting to keep these short so that you guys can review it afterwards and it doesn't take too long.
All right. Thank you, Sally.
No problem.
Next up, Megan Edwards, who's one of our Pittsburgh-based speech-language pathologists. She is going to share some activities that we can do with our pre-K students. So Megan, it's all yours.
All right, thank you. So yeah, I'm going to share some activities that I like to do with my pre-K students, and then my last slide will kind of be about how to really keep them engaged during the sessions. So for language apps, I really love the My Play Home app. Any of the Toca Boca apps I think are just great. There's not a lot of background noise in them, and you can really talk to the kids. The Nighty Night app is also a really good one. My Scene, Peekaboo Barn, and Lego Duplo World. And so what can you target with the apps? You can target MLU, vocabulary, questions, prepositions, pronouns, and reinforcement. These apps are so good for reinforcement. The kids love to play them all the time, not just when they're doing their activities. So I try to make everything have some sort of reinforcement built into it. The next thing I use is YouTube. YouTube can be great for requesting, for vocabulary. You can talk about colors, verbs, nouns. Kids love slime videos. So watching even the slime videos, you can talk about the noise, whatever's going on in the videos. Questions, you can ask who, what, and where. Core vocabulary, especially if you're working with a kid with an AAC device. Stop, go, on, off. And again, YouTube is such a great reinforcement. The kids are watching it all the time at home. They have videos they like to watch. You can even pull up, Disney songs, all those types of things. Other websites I use are Teachers Pay Teachers and Boom Cards. There's great articulation and language resources on both of those sites. For articulation, I also use ArticPix and Articulation Station for matching, and just like Sally demonstrated, writing numbers on the cards, and you could also do letters. That way they can just easily choose the cards. Artic Hunt is another one I use a lot for the pre-K. They really love it. It has built-in reinforcement, and breaks. It tells them to do the word so many times, and then you have to pop the picture bubbles. And I'm the one doing that because it is an app, but the kids still really enjoy it. And What's the Pick is another app where the picture slowly is revealed and the kids have to guess it. And even my pre-Ks like that one as well. The only thing with those two apps is sometimes I don't love all the pictures, but the kids really enjoy them, so I keep playing them. Language apps can also be great for articulation. They're great carryover. And when a kid just won't do a list or traditional work, sometimes just playing the language app is great to, work on it. And you can pick out different pictures or words that might have your target in it. So keeping them engaged, reinforce frequently, use the language apps, YouTube breaks. Some days with YouTube, I'll do, let's say, so many words, and then let them watch their video for 30 seconds. And then maybe the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, let them finish the video. Drawing on the whiteboard. They love to draw, so they like to draw me pictures. So sometimes I'll let them do that again for like the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, or have little breaks in between of like 30 seconds where they can draw something really quick. I've even used it like recently where I was drawing the picture and the student had to guess because she just wasn't going for any of the other activities that we normally do. any app or game they have stated they enjoy. So kids tell me all the time, I love this game, and I'll try to download it really quick and use that as reinforcement if they're not working for me that day. My dog is the biggest reinforcement of all. She's always in the room with me snoring. So if a kid won't do the work, I'll say, do you want to see Gracie today? And they say yes, and I bring her in there and they love it. And actually, when all this started, they all wanted to show me their dog at home. So that's been a really cute, fun way to interact with them. Provide predictor cues. 3 more of them will watch Frozen. First, then you can even use visual schedules. You can make them using lesson pics, or even just a simple Word document. You can go and put your pictures in, and there you have it. Follow their lead. Choose what they are in the mood for. If they won't participate, adapt it to make it work for your target. So it's very similar to when you're in the house, you're just using your apps and your websites that you have. Or like I said earlier, if they express they like something, try to use that to the best of your ability. Talk to them about what they're excited about. A lot of kids are wanting to tell me about their sibling's birthday or something like that. So you can even use like their sibling's name to target that sound, or, expand their utterances. Have them show you their toys and their figurines and play. Have them play in front of you, and you can talk about what they're playing with, and have mom join in and maybe do a little bit of coaching. And let them be the speech teacher. My one student loves this. She tells me, say it 5 times, and I will say it wrong until she says it right, and then I produce it right. So that can also be a fun reinforcement, or even them just telling me yes and no, like you did it right, a little bit of discrimination. They love that. And let them move. So try to give them run breaks, or play Simon Says. I do Miss Megan Says, and I think that's really funny, just silly directions. So, it's okay for them to move as long as they come back. Just state those rules. You can run real quick, but when I say come back, and they usually do. So, but there's also another adult in the room, so they can also guide them back. But some days they come in and they're just wiggle worms, and you need to let them move.
Thank you, Megan. And last but certainly not least, we have Karen. And Karen is one of our most seniored telespeech therapists. She has been doing teletherapy for over 5 years, which is really kind of rare in the teletherapy world. And she has some really great activities for our students with autism. So I'm going to let her share her activities.
Hi, everyone. Excuse me. I'm happy to be here today. And I have been doing teletherapy for 9 years and come a really long way from 9 years ago when I had a workbook and flashcards. Today's things are so much more entertaining and engaging. So I'm going to share some of my favorites with you. Megan mentioned My Play Home already, but this is great for eliciting language for many goals. Some of the skills you can expand are expanding vocabulary, naming and describing actions. It's also good for practicing participating appropriately in conversation by asking and answering questions and taking turns. It's an app, so you control the screen, so that means the kid has to ask you, and it elicits language that way. There are some guides, some websites or guides that give you ideas, because sometimes people think of ways to use things that I might not have thought of, so it's nice to have other resources for that. This is a blog post with different ideas for using My Play Home. And Teachers Pay Teachers has many items too. This one is free. Some of them are a few dollars, but this one is a good one. Has a lot of suggestions. Another activity, YouTube. First, some helpful hints that I've learned from experience. Have your video windows up and ready to go. You don't have premium, so you have ads, make sure you're past the ads. You don't want to waste time, and you don't always know what's going to pop up. Make the image full screen so you don't have distractions, and make sure you check your share of the sound. I showed a kid a couple of videos once, and then they said, "Oh, well, I can't hear it." So you would think they would tell you right off, but that's something, just a little checklist. So I found on Speech Time Fun, there's a post using commercials for working on inferencing. And in this post, she actually has some commercials embedded with questions afterwards, working on skills like inferencing, problem solving, and social skills, addressing WH questions, sequencing, and recall. So you can always adapt those as needed. I find these are better for kids who are a little bit older. Here's using mini movies, the same idea. Another site you might put into your search on YouTube, Songs for Speech. She has lots of different topics, concepts, WH questions, a lot of different language things you can search for. And I like also the Nom Nom song. If you play it too many times and somebody else is in your house, they'll get sick of it. But it's really cute. It's great for little ones. It has lots of different animals eating different kinds of foods, and you can talk about what they see and ask questions about that. Of course, you can always use videos for reinforcement and rewards. Like Megan mentioned, if you know that they're into Frozen or SpongeBob, or Wheels on the Bus is a big one. You can have that set to play when they finish their activity. They get a couple of minutes of favorite video. Continuing fun and games. Also, these are reinforcement and rewards, but just like we use games when we see kids in schools, you can play them on the screen, and you can target goals like spontaneous conversation, turn taking, problem solving, skills, following directions. Also some social skills, like how we behave if we don't win the game. So these are some sites of games that I use often. globalalliedhealth.org. I usually just use the memory game. It's a concentration game. They have toys, animals, and foods. I would recommend this more for a child that's a little bit older. And again, if they can control the screen because it's on a website, then they can click on the pictures, but you could always number them like Sally did in the demo. Also, Pokey games. This has like almost any game you can imagine. Any of the traditional games, Connect Four, checkers, Uno, sports games, tons and tons of games. So you could find ways to use those in your session as well. Teachers Pay Teachers, again, they have a lot of freebies, a lot of free games and worksheets. This particular one is one that I like that has idiom flashcards with choices. Like if it says it's raining cats and dogs, then it'll have choices. Does this mean A, B, or C? The kid has control of their screen. They can annotate, they can stamp or circle the correct answer, or if you don't want to do that, you can choose it for them. And lastly, I wanted to mention some things I found. ASHA has some free CEU classes through the end of June, and you might find these interesting. This one, the first part of it talks mostly just about serving students through telepractice, but the last part of it has some demonstrations of using telepractice with kids who have autism. So that would be a good resource. And I haven't actually watched this one yet, but it looks like it has a lot of good ideas. And that's it.
All right, guys. Well, we tried to jam it into 30 minutes.
You did well, 29 minutes. We do have a few questions. I think one of the ones would be if students are maybe a lower functioning or younger and you don't they can't do the 1, 2, 3 choice. Do you all have any other ideas? Like, do you ever use symbols or something like that that they may be able to make choices without recognizing numbers?
You absolutely, you could put emojis on there. If you wanted to like like draw a smiley face or whatever. But, often, to be honest, when I do that activity with the younger kiddos, I have the facilitator, or in this case, the parent, sit there with them and tell me what number they'll point to it and then the parent will say he wants number 2 and number 5. Or something like that. So that works. When I first started doing this and we didn't have the ability to annotate, we were using different teleconferencing equipment, and we weren't using Zoom. We would say, okay, top row, top row number 1, or top row letter A, or whatever. And of course, that was very challenging for the young children or the low kids. So yeah, you have to kind of brainstorm. You could do stars and circles and squares, maybe, if they know that. But when in doubt, you could always have the parent kind of assist with that.
Great. Another question was, what is your typical session length?
I'll handle this one a little bit. So when we're doing things traditionally, the wheelhouse of our program is a high intensity model. So, on a regular day of the week, we're normally running 6 or 10-minute sessions with our kids. Now that we're home, we're getting as much as we can out of our students without, kind of overwhelming them. So the preschool students, I'd say we're hovering around 15 or 20 minutes. You get connected, you get started, you do some introductions, you get engaged, you do your activity, and then you sort of close it up. We're actually doing pretty well getting 20 to 30-minute sessions out of our older students. And then some students, we've kind of decreased. Our really high need students, we're running about 10 to 15-minute sessions. Ladies, you can chime in if you know anything different, but that, I feel like, is kind of the summary of where we're at the moment.
Yeah, I would say typically with my preschool kids, I have recommended 15 minutes. I know there's one preschool kid who will be transitioning to kindergarten next year, and I can push a 30-minute session with her. Now, she's actually 45 minutes, so I have her, broken down. So if I need to, I can cut it at 20 or 22 and then just add some extra time the next day too.
So everybody's wanting all these apps, and they know they can't buy all of them right now. So with all of you who use these, which top 3, like what would be, like if you wanted to find the most versatile apps that you could use in many ways, what would you recommend?
Well, for articulation, I definitely recommend the speech tutor. And depending on which version of the speech tutor, there is a free version that still gives you a lot of frequently produced sounds, but then there's some other versions, and it actually has some flashcards built in too. So I think that one's really versatile. And then either ArticPix or Articulation Station. Those are probably my 2 go-tos. I like them because you'll notice in the video I did with Eiley, I did not keep data using the app, but you can, and that's kind of nice because when you're doing teletherapy, that's one of the things that you have to kind of prep ahead of time is like we mentioned, having the windows open, having things ready. If I know I'm getting ready to start a session, I might already have the numbers on the matching game if I know that child is going to want to do the matching game, and we're not letting them choose the first activity or whatever. And then it's nice to have that app because you can actually hit a smiley face or a frowny or whatever and keep your own data that way rather than having to write it down.
What other apps would you guys recommend for the preschoolers and the kids with autism?
I would definitely recommend the Tokaboka apps. They some of them are free, so that's always a nice option. And like I said, there's not a lot of background noise, so you can really talk to the kids while they're playing them. Even the ones that are cost money are really low cost. So I use them all the time. Toka Monsters is my top app probably use. My kids love that, but also My Play Home. There's just so much you can do with My Play Home. You can buy different scenes, but even if you just have the house scene, there's plenty to do in that.
Any other ideas from the, I forgot your name, I'm sorry, the person who did the autism and or Rio?
Oh, hi. Yes, I was thinking of Word Vault Pro. I can't remember how much that one was, but that's better mostly for older children. Really with the younger ones, I use Articulation Station and My Play Home. Splingo, there are some Splingo apps that have things like categories or different concepts, language concepts. Those are some that are good too.
Great.
And Libby, we can what we can do is we'll create a little infographic of a list of kind of the top apps and cost, maybe the top free apps and the top apps that may have a cost associated with them. If someone wants to reference the list, we can post it in the resource group.
Great. And I'm planning on taking the list that you have provided on your PowerPoint and add those to the list as far as like where they can find them and a little snippet of it, so that we'll have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect. And next week we're going to share even more. So, you know, just as we go along, we're going to have some different topics and more websites and apps.
This has been wonderful, and I can tell from the responses on the chat that people are really appreciating what you guys are sharing. Now, there were some questions about the annotation and those kinds of things, which we're working on. But are there any other questions that people have that you would like to unmute your mic and ask the question? Or you can write it in the chat box. It's fine.
Libby, this is Leanne.
Hey.
I see one from Pam Kane, and it says, is the WVDE supplying SPED and SLP's money or funds to purchase apps and materials? There is money coming from some of the stimulus packages that have been approved by the National Congress, and so we will be sending money to counties, I'm sure, and there's going to be money that they could appropriate for that. But what I can do is make sure that I bring that suggestion up to them. They are very supportive and very interested in you guys feeling comfortable in doing telepractice. So I'll be glad to bring that up with them. And Rhea and your team, thank you so much. Everything was amazing today, and we will keep recording as long as everyone wants to keep talking.
Hi, this is Becky, and I was wondering if someone could walk me through, I don't know if this is the right time, but walk me through how to connect an iPad to a Zoom session so that I could share apps in a Zoom session.
You know, maybe the best thing to do, I know I've got to talk to Leanne and Libby a little bit about, you know, maybe what we could post, you know, about Zoom, because we talked at the training on Tuesday about how Microsoft Teams is, you know, the platform that the Department of Ed, you know, has purchased because that's where all your email addresses and everything are. But, you know, we'd be glad to put together a little video about how to share, annotate, you know, et cetera, via Zoom. We can do that in a little video. And, you know, we could share that. Leanne can navigate that, and we could figure out how to share that. And then maybe we could talk to Mark or someone about, you know, doing the same for Teams.
I think that's a great idea. And I think having those little short tutorials like Mark does would be really helpful for some of these just specific things that we need to do. That's a great idea.
Rhea, I also do have a document that I'd be happy to share that one of the staff and I did on how to share and annotate. It's not a live video, but it is. We have done screenshots of what it looks like to annotate on a Zoom. So I'd be happy to share that as well.
Other questions? Everybody's excited about the potential of tutorials so that they can look at them and then stop them and look at them again. So that sounds like a good option for some of these more technical questions.
Yep. And we'll share the full, we did a full session with my daughter. So we'll post that full session if you want to just see kind of how things go beginning to end. You know, we'll be glad to post that. She can be a good telespeech model.
She was.
And if we really want to do something challenging, I'll have Megan do a session with my 3-year-old. We'll really test her abilities.
That sounds fun. Any other questions? Thank you guys so much. This has been wonderful.
Yep. Hey, and in the big team, guys, you can tag us if you use @ and our names. It's kind of like a direct message within Teams. So feel free to tag us with, you know, questions, requests, clarifications, whatever you all need, and it kind of creates a thread there so everybody can respond and see if you're not, you know, familiar with doing that via Teams. We'd be glad to, you know, post anything or help with anything, you know, in between these Friday sessions or, you know, whatever, if you're looking for something.
We really appreciate your support, Rhea, and your team support. And we couldn't do any of this without you guys. And Chris, I see your question about will IDEA accept this as a model of delivery in the future. You know, we don't know what's going to happen with IDEA and if they're going to make changes to it. But if, you know, I think that this is something we need to be prepared for just in case.
All right. It looks like people are saying thank you and have a good weekend. And I hope everyone does. And I hope everyone stays safe.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.